episode 8 of Some Like It Real. I'm Bryan.
And I'm Veronica.
And we're two cinephiles who love to talk movies.
We have weekly episodes discussing the newest films, creating lists and drafts, and keeping you updated on the latest movie headlines and awards races.
Today, we're going to change things up a bit by not reviewing just one movie. We'll be doing a speed run by discussing multiple releases from the past few weeks.
That's right. Yep. We're going to be sharing our thoughts on Send Help, The Moment, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, and Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. Some long titles there.
So many long titles, so much to dissect today. Really excited to talk about these 4 very different films. A nice variety out there for people to watch right now.
Definitely, yeah. We have lots to talk about with all of them. Before we get into that, let's catch up on what's been happening this past week. So last week on our last reporting, I said, man, I hope that we don't have anyone to memorialize any big Hollywood figures who sadly leave us. We have 4 different people this week. I think I really jinxed us. Sadly, we lost Robert Duvall, Frederick Wiseman, Tom Noonan, and Eric Dane, all varying levels of tragic and all, different contributors to great movies. So, yeah, Bryan, how did you find all of this terrible news?
I don't understand what's happening. It's like we're not even we're now like only halfway through February and we've already lost so many people this year. It's insane. It's like every week, like you said, we hop on here hoping to not talk about anyone that has passed away. And then when we create the notes for the show, it's like, oh, well, here's another person to talk about. 4 people that we're talking about today. It's crazy. Obviously, they put out a variety of different work. Robert Duvall, 95 years old, incredible actor, obviously just an eclectic array of work. The Godfather probably being the most famous project that he was involved in. I was literally watching The Godfather the other night. It was on TV. I went to go visit my parents, and it was on TV. And it's very surreal, especially knowing that, like, so very few people from that cast are still alive. It's literally just like Al Pacino and Talia Shire. Everyone else has passed away.
Everyone was playing the scene when the 4 of them are at the dinner table,
yep.
Each of them walking away, in the order that they passed away.
That is
so
sad. That is a scary coincidence that's how it was staged and everything. But that's really sad. Frederick Wiseman, admittedly, I'm not as well-rounded with his work, but he also lived a very long life too, and I know a lot of people were really gutted by his loss. Tom Noonan, great character actor in a handful of projects. Particularly, I know him from his collaborations with Charlie Kaufman. I was recently watching Anomalisa. Very recently, I revisited that movie, and there's only 3 actors in that cast. David Flellis, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and then Tom Noonan plays every other character in that movie. And it's a very interesting role for him. And he was a very beloved character actor. The work that he did was just really, really great. And Eric Dane, the last one, the most recent one on this list, 53, definitely the most tragic passing of these 4. He lost his battle to ALS. And similar to James Van Der Beek, Eric Dane was more established in the television world than he was the film world. But that being said, he was someone that was special to a lot of people and a lot of families and a lot of households. Of course, he played McSteamy on Grey's Anatomy. He was on that for a very long time. And then he did a handful of other shows in between. And then I think he had a bit of a resurgence with his work on Euphoria, where you could say what you want about Euphoria and how it may not be the best written show or the best directed show. Sam Levinson is a hack, whatever. I think that Eric Dane's portrayal of Nate Jacobs' father, Cal Jacobs, I think that was his name, he was one of the shining elements of that show, especially in season 2. I think season 2, as messy of a season as that was, Eric Dane was one of the saving graces of that entire season, and I thought he was robbed of an Emmy nom. I really think that he should have been recognized for that season, and it's a really tragic loss, and, he's been very vocal about how ALS needs to be taken seriously, and, he's been championing the people that have been fighting that illness and everything, and it's really unfortunate that in such a short period of time that he wasn't able to successfully fight off the battle. And it's really sad. It's honestly really, really sad and devastating. And 53, that's way too young to go out. Yeah, it's crazy. You know, all four of these talents put such a mark on this industry and everything in their own ways. And my heart goes out to all their loved ones and their families and their friends and to the fans of their work. And yeah, this is crazy.
It's a bad
This many
week.
people, it's insane. How about you? Like, what is your takeaway from all these passings and everything?
Yeah, totally echo everything that you said. Just to give some personal favorites, Robert Duvall, all the major movies and everything, but also a shout out to his episode of the Twilight Zone miniature. That's Twilight Zone is huge in my household, and just for some childhood like kid friendly movies that were some favorites of mine. He's in like Secondhand Lions and
Hmm.
Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell. That was like a classic for my sister and I. And then yeah, Frederick Wiseman, also not super familiar, but I know that he's a giant in documentary filmmaking and super important for everything there. And Tom Noonan, yeah, and Heat. And I know that my sister and I always said that he was like so scary in Last Action Hero. He is like a role in that, and he's like really freaky. And then yeah, Eric Dane. Yeah, Euphoria. I never watched Grey's Anatomy, but I've seen clips of it and stuff, and he's very beloved from that. Also, a shout out to his role in Valentine's Day. I think he's very good in that. But yeah, it's just they these are some really big people who have impacted film history. Robert Duvall especially obviously is the most sort of well known and most prestigious and stuff. So, but yeah, this is so sad, and we need to. Hopefully, everyone can take a break for a week, and we don't have to do this again next time.
Yeah, let's not jinx ourselves.
I know,
let's
yeah,
not
we already
let's
did.
not do that.
I
But
literally jinxed Robert Duvall. I mentioned last week that I watched a Patty Chayefsky documentary with my dad, and there were scenes from Network in it, and Robert Duvall was on screen. I was like, God, he must be getting old, huh? And so
oh
my
man.
bad. That was my fault.
Well, we're just gonna hope that nothing happens
Yep.
next week.
Fingers
But
crossed.
but no, it's very devastating. Especially the Eric Dane stuff. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know if you watched that clip that's been flown around about his last words and everything, the message that he gives to his daughters. It's literally the most heartbreaking thing I've ever seen in my life. Like I'm literally sitting down watching it, and admittedly, again, I'm not as well rounded with Eric Dane's work, but I'm watching that, and I'm literally like my eyes are getting watery, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
so devastating because you could
Yeah.
tell that he was like, "Oh, my daughters are my world and my everything." And I'm just like, "Okay, this is too much. I can't. I
Yeah.
can't."
Yeah.
And I wonder what's
Just
going to
terrible.
happen in season 3 of Euphoria because they said that he shot off his scenes for the season and everything. I'm really curious what they're going to do with that.
Yeah. Yeah. If he shot it and it's in the can already, maybe they'll just dedicate episodes to him or something, or we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have
Enough of the sad
yeah,
news. Oh my
the
god.
unfortunate task of transitioning out of that into an award season check-in again. Just a quick one. BAFTAs are happening this Sunday at time of recording. Will have just happened when this episode drops. Any final predictions there or things that you're looking out for?
It's going to be another one battle sweep. It's good. It's gonna be. Although I mean, the BAFTAs, you never know what they're gonna do. Sometimes they do go for like very European films and projects and actors and everything. So
Yeah.
you never know. But I do think that one battle will win director. I think it will win picture or best film is what they call it there. Jesse Buckley, that's absolutely happening. Actor, I would say Timothy has it in the bag. Supporting actress, I think it's gonna go to Wumi Masaku. I
Oh,
think they're gonna
interesting.
I think they're gonna give it to the the Brit of the group and everything. I mean, Emily Watson is obviously English native and everything, but I don't think she has a shot of winning for Hamnet. Then supporting actor, I think Stellan is gonna win. I would say that at least two of the people that are going to win the Oscar will be rewarded at the BAFTAs. And then I just think it's going to be a pretty straightforward show. I don't think there's going to be a ton of surprises and everything, but you never know with BAFTAs. They do throw a lot of curveballs and everything. I mean, last year we all thought that Demi Moore was going to sweep the entire Best Actress race. and she won Golden Globe, she won SAG, she won Critics' Choice, but Mikey Madison ended up winning the BAFTA. Then she went on to win the Oscar.
Hmm.
So you never know what could happen. You genuinely don't know what could happen.
Yeah, it's tends to have some overlap, but like any awards body, it kind of has its own quirks. Like you said, it's more European focused and everything. So yeah, I think that something like Jessie Buckley for Best Actress, and I think like Stellan for supporting. I think they're both like in a better position with this awards body and their tendencies. So like if they don't win, that would be a bit of an upset, especially if it's Rose Byrne for actress and she's sort of like solidly in second place.
I would be happy if Rose Byrne
I would
won.
be happy, yeah.
I
And I
want her
love
to
Jessie
win. I
Buckley,
want her
but
to win the Oscar.
me too. I love Jessie Buckley. I think she's great, but I just think Rose is just giving a more unique
I
performance.
agree.
And then sort of, yeah, same thing. I think that if it's anybody other than Timothy, maybe if it's goes Leo or Ethan Hawke, who are maybe, a bit like runner-ups for that right now, like then that would be indicative. I don't, yeah, supporting actress is interesting. I think, to me, I feel like Taylor is in the lead right now. We'll see. BAFTAs, like we said, they have a European bend. I think it's also fair to say they're a bit, what would you call it, racist at times. Like there's literally, I think Denzel Washington has no BAFTA nominations,
Yeah, which
which
is
is like an
crazy.
insane stat. So I
Yeah.
don't know. They tend to like movies that are very American focused and often with black performers specifically. Like they have a fucking issue,
Yeah.
and so I don't know. It's like Tiana. I think if she does win this, I think she's pretty much clinched the Oscar. Like I feel like that's a big
I
deal.
agree. I agree. If
Yeah, and
Tayana wins this, she's absolutely locked to win the Oscar.
there's no Amy Madigan here nominated to compare that.
Hmm.
I feel like if it's not going to be either of them, it could go to Inga for Sentimental Value.
Which that's who I want to win personally. But
That would be
if
cool to see her
Tiana
win here.
wins,
Yeah,
I would be fine with that. If Wumi wins, I would be happy with that.
yeah.
Hell, if they throw a curveball and say supporting actress Odessa Zion, hey, that would be
Oh
cool
yeah,
with me
sure.
too. I think she would be deserving too. But it's also important to point out that last year BAFTA went 4 for 4 with the Oscars. So all four people who eventually went on to win the Oscar won the BAFTA, which included Zoe Saldana, a woman of color. So, you know, we'll have to see what happens here. But I don't really invest as much stock into the BAFTAs as some people in awards punditry do. But hey, it's I'm sure there's going to be some curiosity and everything. So
Yeah, I feel like when there's anyone who's like sweeping like most of the award season, like Jessie Buckley, if she wins this, like it's really not all that significant for Oscar chances. But when there's something like supporting actress, I think there's it's a little bit up in the air. So like it could indicate one way or another,
yeah,
performance
exactly,
wise. I think I'm
exactly.
curious about film not in the English language is how they call the category here.
Hmm.
I feel like Secret Agent is surging, and I feel like that's maybe in the front runner, but like Sentimental
Yeah.
Value is probably going to be more appreciated here. So curious, it was just an accident, like make a little bit more of a run after it was, under nominated at Oscars. Kind of curious to see if that has any indications in the race.
Yeah, that's another category that I have a huge question mark around because I have no idea what direction they're going to go with that. I think that like it is a three-horse race between It Was Just an Accident, Secret Agent, and Sentimental Value. I think Sarad and the voice of him Rajab are just happy to be along the journey and everything,
Yeah.
but I would say it's most likely going to be between Secret Agent and Sentimental Value because obviously at when we talk about the Oscars, both of those films got into Best Picture,
Hmm.
and it would be a shock if the film that wins the foreign film, international film, non-English language film category is the one that's not in Best Picture. Although It Was Just an Accident deserves something. Like it deserves something. And the fact that it got shafted by all these awards bodies is really disappointing. But
Yeah,
we
I
talked
would
about
like
that
it
a
to win
lot.
here, even though it would
Yeah.
be very confusing for the Oscar race.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it so much, and we're going to have an episode in a few weeks devoted to our final Oscar predictions and everything. So be on the lookout for that. But
Yep.
yeah, the BAFTAs, I do think that it's just going to be another indicator that one battle is winning Best Picture.
Probably, yeah. And yeah, and then it's interesting. Like I said, like Sinners, I don't know because it's such a like American story. One battle too, really, but I feel like that's been more of a juggernaut all season with winning like best film prizes. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know how to watch it. I think you have to have BritBox to watch it maybe. So I'm probably just going to be getting it through clips, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
I'll probably watch the highlights as well.
Yeah. Okay. And then we can move on to talk about some trailer drops this week. So we had trailers for The Mandalorian and Grogu, and Toy Story 5. How are you feeling about those?
The Mandalorian and Grogu, I I want to be excited for this because it's the first Star Wars film to be released in theaters. Well, first Star Wars film period since Rise of Skywalker. So it's been, when we come up on this, it's been 7 years since we got in the Star Wars movie.
Yep.
And I like the Mandalorian character, and I like Grogu. The Mandalorian, and we talked about this in our movie preview for the year. I really liked the first two seasons of Mandalorian. Season three, I couldn't even finish. It was just such a downward spiral from those first two seasons. Like, it was a huge, huge step down. And, when they announced that they were making this movie, I'm like, okay, whatever, sure. The teaser annoyed the crap out of me because it just looked like it was a movie made for streaming and everything. And I still feel that way looking at the visual imagery. I will say that this trailer was slightly better, but that still doesn't change the fact that I'm really not excited to see this. And I want to be. And listen, we could go into this movie and it can end up being really, really great, but I don't really think that it's going to be. I don't really have many high expectations for this movie. I love Pedro Pascal. I love little Grogu, but I just don't really care. I want to be excited, and I also think it's kind of dumb on Disney's part because we're getting the Star Wars movie next year with Ryan Gosling. That's like a
Hmm.
completely original story. I kind of wish that that was going to be the first live action. I say live action like we're getting an animated Star Wars film. The first Star Wars film in the theater since Rise of Skywalker, but instead we're just
Yeah,
getting this
theatrical. Yeah.
continuation of a show. And I hate to say it, but there's going to be people that are probably lost when they watch this movie because you're going to have to pick up on things from the TV show. It's going to be like how the MCU did all these TV shows and then they did these movies, and it's like, oh, if you didn't watch WandaVision, you weren't going to understand Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And that's literally what it's going to be like here. So honestly, there's parts of the trailer that I thought looked cool, and I'm sure there's going to be cool sequences throughout. I'm sure it's not going to be a total crap fest of a movie, but I can't say that I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm in the not caring camp. I didn't watch The Mandalorian. I watched maybe the first episode or two, and it just didn't really hook me. And I know people enjoyed those first two seasons mostly, and then the third was like a big drop off in quality apparently. But yeah, it just didn't. It never really got me. I just was like, there's so many things to watch. Like I'm not gonna force myself to get into something if I'm not feeling it. So yeah, I don't have any knowledge about it. I do think from that trailer, like that most recent one, I kind of feel like regardless of quality, I feel like this is gonna be kind of big. Like that trailer was just it was so heavy on Grogu, and I just feel like it's gonna like really reel people in. And it's the kind of thing that like I think people have enough passing familiarity with that they'll just be like, oh yeah, I Baby Yoda, I know that. Like I'll go see that. So I don't like I'm really curious to see if it like underperforms or overperforms at the box office. And it's yeah, and I'll be interested. It'll be cool that you've seen the show and I haven't, so we can kind of like have both perspectives on if they
True.
cover things that happen in the show well enough. If
Yeah.
you need that, like if it's a barrier to entry to understand. Yeah, I mean I'm not bothered about like getting myself all caught up. I'll watch the movie. I'll listen to some smart podcasters about what everything means or what I'm missing or anything. Then I'll leave it at that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm ready to
Yeah.
just be like a casual watcher of
Y-
this.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point of how this is gonna test like how interested people are now in Star Wars. Like,
Mhm.
are people going to flock out to the theater opening weekend to go watch this movie that's a continuation of a TV show that maybe not everybody has seen? Like,
Yeah.
instead of it being like a solely original movie, like this Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie that's coming out next year. So who knows? Who knows? But you brought up another Disney trailer. We got our first full trailer for Toy Story 5. There was no announcement of this trailer coming out. So when this trailer dropped, I was surprised. I was like, "Oh my god." Like I didn't even there was a part of me that forgot that this movie was coming out, to be honest, even though we spent a lot of time talking about it on our movie preview. Um, to keep it short and sweet, the Toy Story films are very special to me. I love all of them. Yes, that includes four. I've been seeing a lot of hate for the fourth one on Twitter these last few days, and it's really taken me off.
Oh
Yes,
my
it's
God.
not as good as the first three. That is true, but it is not a bad movie.
It gave
It
us Forky. Be
it gave
grateful.
it gave us Forky. It gave us Duke Kaboom. It gave
Mm.
us Ducky and Bunny. It brought back Bo Peep. It had an emotional goodbye. It made me cry, and it also had the scary one of the scariest moments in the Toy Story films when that jump scare happened with Ducky and Bunny. That was
Oh.
terrifying. That was very very terrifying. But Toy Story 5, we talked a little bit about this on our preview of how this film is now about how this age of children aren't really playing with toys anymore. Now they're so glued to technology. And we have this tablet known as Lilypad as the villain, who's voiced by Greta Lee, which is an awesome casting. That's so cool. I thought this trailer was genuinely really, really excellent. I was so surprised by how much I was moved by the trailer and how much smiling I had on my face during the trailer. Woody is bald. He's getting the bald
It's got a
spot.
bald
Like
spot.
what's the deal with that? I want to know more about that. It's kind of a punch in the face for those of us who have literally been around for pretty much the entirety of this franchise's existence, but it looks great. They're taking the franchise in a new direction instead of doing the same exact thing. Yes, they're going on another adventure, but you could tell that this is a very personal journey for all these characters. And they had a shot of Jesse being spun around. And I'm like, no, don't do this again to me. We
The
can't do that.
emotional
We
trauma.
we
Oh my God.
cannot do this again. We can't do it again. But I'm actually really excited to see it. I think it looks really, really great. And this isn't the only Pixar movie that we have this year. Hoppers is coming out in a few weeks' time, which made me remember why this trailer came out now. And I've been hearing from people I trust that Hoppers is one of the stronger Pixar outings in like forever. So I'm really excited for Toy Story 4. And listen, they haven't made a bad Toy Story film yet, and I don't think they ever will. And no, I'm not counting Lightyear because that shit sucked. But in terms of the main installments, they've all been great, and I don't see this not being great either.
Yeah, it got me excited. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it too much. I was like, yeah, new Toy Story, of course. Like, I'll go see it and everything. But yeah, I watched this and I was like, okay, I kind of want to like rewatch all four before it comes out. And yeah, I think that it's like we said in our preview. I think it's smart that we're talking about like technology versus toys and how that's affecting kids and everything. And so yeah, I think I was excited to see everybody again. I was and yeah, I think that I'm really hoping that they wouldn't make this unless like there's an idea there and it's not I don't think you could go to other properties other than Toy Story if you just wanted a cash grab. So I'm hoping that like there's some real ideas here, and it's been so good so far in the series of like aging with the characters. And yeah, you said like Woody has a bald spot. Like it made me think of I think it's going from Toy Story 2 into 3, like the dog who was like so energetic and
Mm,
crazy in 2, and then
yeah.
he's like so old and slow in the third one, like
I
just
mean,
stuff
you
like
you
that
think
that
you think about how Andy literally went from like a eight
yeah,
9 year old kid, and
ages in
then
real
the third
time.
one
Yeah.
he was going to college. It's
Yeah.
like we've literally grown up with this franchise. I mean, this franchise has been around our entire lives,
Yeah.
and are we gonna assume that this is the last one? We say that now, and then in 5 years they'll be like, oh, let's make another one. And it's like, no, let's let's
It's
but there's something very special about these films and how every time they come out, they feel like an event. I want to pose a question to you about this. Do you think that
Mhm.
this is going to make $1 billion?
It has the potential to, I guess. It's hard for anything to really hit the way that it did like pre-pandemic and stuff. So
Yeah,
I
because
don't think it's a guarantee.
the last one made just a little over
Hmm.
$1 billion. But
That was
obviously that was
2018,
2019,
19.
less than a year before the world shut down. I'm looking at June 2019 was when it came out. Oh
Yeah, I
my
think I think
god.
it's harder now. I like kids movies that appeal to whole families and stuff definitely have the best shot, but
Yeah, what if we only
yeah,
had
we're gonna have
maybe
to
like
see.
3 movies since COVID that have made $1 billion? Avatar, Way of Water, Barbie, and
Barbie,
there's got to be something else.
Super Mario did that,
Super
or
Mario, I
maybe that
think
was
it might
close.
be.
Oppenheimer was close, but I don't think it did.
Oppenheimer was right there. It was right there, which would have been big considering
Yeah.
that that's a 3 hour long R-rated historical
Yeah.
biopic drama that isn't based on an IP.
Right.
But
Which
this
we have
looks
again with
great.
the Odyssey this year. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting
Yes.
year to watch that. Toy Story, Odyssey. I don't think that'll do as well. It doesn't have the Barbenheimer branding there, but I still think there's a lot of interest in that. Then you have Dune and Avengers at the end of the year. Like it's going to be a
Yeah.
very interesting box office year.
Yeah, and I mean Disney will probably find a way of dominating the box office again, especially with Avengers and everything. So we'll have to see how it goes and everything. But genuinely, this trailer really surprised me. I had a feeling that it would be good, but there was a lot of skepticism walking into it, and I'm really excited to see it. And I'm also very excited, in particular, to see what the new voices in the cast do, particularly Greta Lee and Conan O'Brien. I'm very excited for Conan in a Toy Story film. That's like perfect casting.
What if he's just playing the disinterested therapist from If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You? It's the same affect, same everything. No,
I
I'm sure he'll
don't
be funny.
answer emails about my clients' dreams. Jesse
Yeah.
tries to vent to him, and he's like, "I don't answer toys, please, about dreams." Oh man, but yeah, that looks great. Very
Yeah.
excited for
I'm
that.
excited. Yeah.
Very excited. And with that, let's get into our main topics. We have
Yeah.
4 movies to talk about, so let's begin.
Yeah, so we're gonna kick it off with "Send Help." So this is the newest film from Sam Raimi, his first like, original film in a while, and the stars Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien. So if you've seen the trailer, it's Rachel McAdams is they tried to make Rachel McAdams look ugly. They tried to make her, she's like a sort of dowdy office worker. Dylan O'Brien comes in as her previous boss's son, who's like kind of taking over the company, and he's just like a complete douchebag. Like he's just like totally, broy. He's hanging out with his other employees who are like his frat brothers and stuff, and it's he's definitely playing like a type. And so she is invited onto this business trip, and this is the premise of the movie, but there's a plane crash, and Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien are stranded on this island. And she has been, as we learn, she's very into the show Survivor and like just sort of a survivalist in general. Like she's very interested in that, so she is well equipped to live on the island and save each other. But he is obviously not used to being bossed around by someone who is his subordinate in the office, and so drama ensues, Sam Raimi-esque violence ensues. Yeah, this has been, I think that a lot of people are happy to see Sam Raimi back in this mode, happy to see Rachel McAdams leading a movie, which she hasn't done in a while, and she's always just so welcome. Yeah, Brian, what were your thoughts on Send Help?
I loved this movie so much. I was such a big fan of it, and I went in pretty excited because of the talent involved with the film. I like Sam Raimi. Admittedly, he's not a filmmaker that I'm like, OMG, he's like one of the greats and everything. But whenever he attaches himself to a project, I am intrigued, especially when it comes to the horror thriller genre and everything, because he obviously got his start doing horror movies with the Evil Dead trilogy, and then he has one of the most eclectic filmographies that I've ever seen from any filmmaker ever, because not only did he do the Evil Dead trilogy, he also did, of course, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy in the 2000s, and then he's done a wide variety of films throughout his career, like Darkman, The Quick and the Dead, A Simple Plan, Drag Me to Hell, Oz the Great and Powerful, and then most recently before this was Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And like you brought up, this is his first original film since Drag Me to Hell. So it's been 17 years since he did an original film.
Yeah.
And also since he did a horror movie too. And this is literally Sam Raimi going full berserk and full crazy. And this film doesn't hold any punches at all. It's so intense. It's so invigorating, but it's also so much fun. It's so entertaining, and it's really funny at times. And Rachel McAdams, oh my God, she's an actor that's, like you said, Veronica, she's always welcome. Whatever project she's in, whether it's a big role or a small role, she's always a delightful addition to the ensemble. And her lead in a film like this, doing the role like this, never seen her go full berserk like this. And I think she chewed up the scenery and gave one of the best performances of her entire career. And I was talking about this with my friend who I saw the movie with, and many people since this movie came out. This might be top three, if not top two, Rachel McAdams performances. I legit think that this is like one of the best performances that she's ever given. And Dylan O'Brien, he's continuing to showcase that he is one of the most exciting actors that we have in the business right now. I mean, coming off the brilliant work that he just did in Twinless and then doing this, such a different shit for him. And Dylan O'Brien is one of those actors that could seamlessly play very good, lovable guy and then condescending jerk off prick so well. The laugh that he does is ingrained in my memory and will forever be ingrained in my memory. And, you know, I love myself a good survival film and everything. I'm stuck on an island. This is like Castaway, but more intense, and obviously with one other person instead of it just being one person. It would have been funny if Tom Hanks, his character from Castaway, just came out and just massacred both of them. It would have been great. But it's full of twists and turns. I will say that certain elements in the second act didn't entirely work for me. I was a little perplexed by some of the decisions that were made. And the ending, obviously without spoiling the ending, I still don't know how I feel about the big revelation at the end of the film. I was definitely engrossed, but I was still like, like, I don't know. I think that if I eventually revisit the movie, which I do plan on doing whenever it comes to streaming, I think my feelings will be more concise with the way that this film wraps up. But it does have one of the coolest endings of the year, certainly. And I have golf clubs in my closet. I've never looked at them the same way after after this movie, and that's all I'll say. But yeah, I was a big fan of Send Help. I really enjoyed it, and I'm just glad to see Sam Raimi going full Sam Raimi with this. How about you? How did you feel about Send Help?
Yeah, I liked but didn't love it. But admittedly, I'm kind of like you said. It's maybe sacrilege, but I'm not the biggest Sam Raimi fan. Sort of beyond the Spider-Man franchise. Love those movies, but I haven't seen Drag Me to Hell or the Evil Dead series and stuff. So it kind of didn't check it out because it didn't really seem like my vibe, and so
I still recommend.
Yeah, definitely.
Evil Dead 2 is one of my favorite horror films ever. Like I love all three of those films, and Drag Me to Hell is very good too. And for a
Yeah.
PG-13 horror film, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
And we don't really have a lot of great PG-13 horror films, so
Definitely, yeah. No, I'm not against checking them out, but it was just never a priority because it didn't seem like the
right.
sort of thing that I would like. But so yeah, I think that basically I think I enjoyed any sort of smaller kind of character driven moment like that's focused on Rachel and Dylan's characters more than like the Raimi heavy moments. And that's because like Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien are just so good in this. Like there are so many. It's a broad movie. Obviously, it's pretty it's pretty out there. It's not really going for realism or anything. But so there are some like performances, like there are some faces that they both pull that are like, oh my god, they're just either in pain or in anger or in just like despair or and it can be used to comedic effect too. It's really good about that. So. Yeah, I think that it's the basic setup. It's also, it's very Triangle of Sadness from a few years ago too. It's kind of the same dynamic there of the sort of underling in the professional space is now
I
sort of
liked
the
it
one
way
that's
more than that movie.
I like
I'm on
Triangle of Sadness.
I'm
but
on record that I hate that movie so
yeah.
much.
Yeah, a lot of people did. I liked it, and I think that this is. I mean, as no issue with using a basic sort of premise to go off. This goes off in a
course.
completely different direction. So, but yeah, I think that the dynamic of like trust and distrust between the two characters just sort of like flipped too many times for me. Like there was, it's can we trust each other? Are we gonna help each other to survive? Versus like, okay, I'm on my own. Versus like, are we trying to kill each other? Like, I think that it was just like, I not that it was, again, I don't need this to be like realistic or anything. It wasn't like, oh, that would never really happen. But
Right.
it just the you're getting jerked around a lot of like, okay, we're trusting each other now we're not, now we're so I think that it just like it strained my like patience a little bit in that way. I kind of just
Yeah.
wanted it to wrap up or to like do something more definitive. But I liked that Linda's Rachel McAdams character. I liked that she wasn't like entirely sympathetic. Like, we get a little bit backstory, we get, some decisions that she makes that it's like, she's while she is, very wronged in the workplace beforehand, and like we're definitely on her side for most of the movie. It's like she might have a screw loose too. Like she's a little, definitely like she's not just a complete, victim in any of this. And
Yeah, when they got to the island, a light switch flipped
yeah,
on in her, and we saw like her true colors and everything that she was hiding, pretty much when she was, back home working her job and everything, being the little
yeah, for
bird
sure.
mom that she is, watching Survivor and everything. And it's like, oh, there's more to this lady that meets the eye, certainly.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So it's, and I mean, it's like Dylan O'Brien, it's like his character is like just as, bad and annoying and horrible as you think. And then it's like you scratch the surface more and it usually just gets worse. There's some, complications in there, but yeah, I think that I really, there were like some moments where I was like, oh my God, there's like so much delicious, drama to be like had out of their relationship here. And then I feel like
Hmm.
that just got like wrung dry a little bit, like one too many
Yeah.
times. But I think it's worth seeing just for the performances alone. There's definitely some gags that are like really funny. And then there's some that I was like, it's just not my style of action or horror or anything. But, if it is the kind of thing you like, I think that this is a great example of it. If you like the other Raimi horror tinge stuff, then I think this is definitely a recommend.
Yeah, and it felt refreshing too to see like kind of an original studio horror film too, because
Hmm.
originally this was at a different studio and they were trying to relegate it to stream it, but then Sam Raimi and the producers were like, no, we want to give this a theatrical
Yeah,
run. So then they brought it over to 20th Century Studios, which fittingly enough is owned by Disney and everything. And I guess Disney deserves a round of applause for being like, we're gonna put this movie out in theaters. So
yeah. I'm so glad I saw it in a theater. I saw it in like fairly packed theater. There were like people yelling at the screen. It were people clapping,
oh,
laughing. Like it's a
100%.
great movie to see in a big crowd.
100%. And you'll never listen to One Way or Another the same way again either. I just want to bring that up too. God, Rachel McAdams is just she's
She's
so
so good.
incredible in
Oh my
this.
God, yeah.
She's always good. Like she's honestly just over the years she's become an actor for me to where whenever she's in something, even if the material that she's given isn't great, she always finds a way of elevating it. She's always good. And what I love so much about her too is that she's done like everything.
Yeah.
But like she never really did a lot of horror prior to this. At least not to my memory. I can't really think of any horror movies that she did prior to this, but I think it's cool that she headlined a film like this. And you know what?
Mhm.
I love a good girl power movie.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is one way to do girl power, I guess. um, but yeah, what would you give it for a rating?
I rated it a 4 on Letterbox, and I still have that as a 4. I really, 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 really was a fan of this movie, and even though I have some nitpicks here and there with it, overall I had a blast with it, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy the CGI like pig or whatever the hell that was
Yeah,
though, but I mean that's one scene. Like it's not the end of the world. It looked
yeah.
silly, and I guess it was helpful that Sam Raimi kind of embraced that silliness. Because,
Hmm.
I mean, I know you said you haven't really seen his horror fare, but his horror fare is very, very ridiculous, complimentary at least
Yeah, yeah.
for me, at least. But yeah, I gave this a 4. What about you?
Yeah, I went 3.5. So, similar. Yeah, I definitely think that if it's the kind of thing that you like, it's great. Just not necessarily my vibe, other than the
Fair enough.
performances.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What's next?
Next up, we have The Moment, which is the Charlie XCX movie. So this is sort of like a meta mockumentary, sort of a behind the scenes look at her tour, her Sweat tour that happened after the Brat album was released, which is of course, a huge cultural moment. And it's interesting. It's sort of like not quite like any other I think this is Spinal Tap is thrown around just because it's music mockumentary sort of thing, but it's a little kind of its own thing. I heard someone compare it to the Trip movies with Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon, and
Mm,
that's a really interesting comparison because it is like Charlie's playing herself, like she's sort of being like a worse version of herself. Like see her kind of
the
being
worst Charlie in the world. Someone should call it that.
yeah, literally. Yeah, she's like being a little bit of a diva at times, and she's sort of indecisive. But it's sort of a behind the scenes look at how she wants to like transition out of the brat era, or like does she want to like keep it going forever? And so we're seeing her like creating her concert, essentially creating the tour. There are tensions with her tour manager, like her current like creative director, and then a director played by Alexander Skarsgård is going to film the concert movie, and he comes in with all of these like sort of like corporate ideas about how to like make it look a little more like toned down and like reserved and like family friendly, when like Charlie XCX is like her creative director says like she's literally like singing about cocaine, like that's what this is. So yeah, I think that it's like it's a cool idea, like I think it's well executed. Your mileage may vary if you're like not interested in Charlie, but yeah, I don't know, what did you think about it, Brian?
So I have to preface saying that like I became a Charlie fan pretty recently. I had casually listened to her music before Brat came out, but Brat was really what opened me up to becoming a fan. Like I sat down and I just kept listening to her music. I did a deep dive
Yeah.
after Brat came out, and I became a fan right then and there. Brat, I think, will go down as one of the great albums that we received this decade. Obviously, it was this humongous phenomenon. Brat Summer, Hello, that was a huge deal and everything that people still talk about to this day. And I was really looking forward to the movie because I like a good mockumentary. I like Charlie, and I like a lot of the actors that are in this movie. But I was very mixed on the movie overall, and I kind of leaned a bit more towards the not really caring for it element. But I have to preface this by saying this. When I saw the movie, I was not in the best mental state, so I probably was not in the right headspace to watch a movie like this. It was super late at night, and I blamed the reclined seats at the movie theater I went to because it's very easy to get very comfortable and doze off during.
Did the strobe lights not wake you up?
No, I was awake for the first like 45 minutes of the movie, but it was the second half where I started dozing off a little bit. And to be honest, for me personally, I think that I anticipate someone a bit more nail biting and self aware. And there were certainly sprinkles of that throughout the movie, but I felt that it got lost in the direction of where it wanted to go. And that disappoints me because on paper, this is a great idea for a film. It's a really cool idea. And there's sequences where I'm like, OMG, this is genuinely great. But it just kept getting lost in the sauce for me. And I felt like I was at a bit of a distance with it. And again, I could have just been in the wrong headspace because there are so many people that I look up to and respect that really liked this movie. Charlie fan or non-Charlie fan, there's a lot of people that have really liked this movie, although it seems to have garnered a very mixed response overall. Like you're either on the positive side or you're like on the negative side. There's not really many people who are in between. I'm pretty much in between, but there were just so many things that I would have wanted from this movie. I just wanted someone a bit more like I wanted some more oomph to it. I feel like we didn't really get that. I felt like there were sequences that were kind of like holding it back from really going out there. It kind of, I have to think of how to word this. It didn't remind me of how I felt about Wuthering Heights, but it kind of gave me a bit of that impression to where I just wanted a bit more, and I felt like
Yeah.
we were holding ourselves back from getting that stuff. But regarding the positives, I think Charlie is really great in this movie. And I'm very excited for people to see what she does in this film called Eruptia, which I saw at TIFF back in September. And she's genuinely, like, unbelievable in that movie. She's so good. She's so good in that. And if you liked her acting here, just wait for that because she kills it in that. And she has a bit more to do considering the fact that she's not playing herself in that movie. I felt like it was very easy for her to get into the feel of this, considering that she was playing herself and everything. I think Alexander Skarsgård was phenomenal in this. I thought
He's so annoying and it's perfect.
he was annoying, but it was so perfect. Alexander Skarsgård is a criminally underrated actor. And I know that a lot of people know who he is, obviously, and everything. Like, it helps that he comes from this family of actors, his dad being his dad, and then his brothers being his brothers. And I also met Alexander Skarsgård a few years ago, and he's like a genuinely very lovely human being. He's awesome. Um, but I loved him in this. He was my favorite thing about the entire movie. Every time he was on screen, that's when I was the most engrossed. I loved his performance. It was so over the top and goofy and zany and annoying, but it showcases that he has a great knack for comedy. You recently saw Pillion. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't been able to see it yet, and I've heard he's incredible in that
He's
movie
awesome
too.
in it. Yeah.
I'm very excited to see it when I get the chance to, but this kind of just reminded me of how Alexander Skarsgård needs to do more comedy because he has a great knack for it. He's so gifted as a comedic actor. And I also have to shout out the Bittersweet Sympathy needle drop towards the end of the movie. That's one of my favorite songs of all time. And it's like, oh fuck, they're pulling me in. they're pulling me in. They're getting me hooked and everything. But yeah, this is a film that I simply think could improve for me when I watch it again, because I do want to watch it again when I'm in a much more prepared headspace. I do think that when I had watched this, I just wasn't really feeling it and everything, and that's disappointing because I was so excited to see it because of how much I love Charlie and the idea of the film, and of course A24 being behind it and everything. But it wasn't the winner that I had wanted it to be, but it also wasn't the loser that some people have claimed it to be. So very much a mixed bag for me, but I hope to revisit this down the road. What about you? I think you were a bit more positive on this than I was. So kind of talk a little bit about your experience with watching this movie.
I was, yeah, definitely. I'm in the love it camp. I can totally see what you're saying, that it's definitely, it's not nail biting. It's definitely could lack some oomph in some places. It kind of goes more introspective, and that's kind of what I liked about it. Even though it's maybe not what you would expect. I think that like the all of the meta tinges to it are just like very smart, very funny. I like the cameo from Rachel Sennett and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
things like that are just the sprinkled in little like her real life relationships, or sort of Hollywood satire-ish. I think that was all done very well. But I think that it's like I enjoyed it on that level, and on being like sort of funny and cringy and stuff. And like you said, the Alexander Skarsgård is just so good. And I think that it's like I enjoyed it on that level, but towards the middle at least, I thought it was pretty like thematically resonant. Like I was really connecting with I think that it's like being a pop star who's like been at this for a long time, and like finally has this like major like breakthrough moment where you're like this cultural sensation, is like that's not something that anybody can relate to really. But I think that anyone can understand like the feeling of like I've achieved something, I've really done something, like everyone is looking to me for like what I'm gonna do next, or like should I let this moment die, or should I like prolong it as much as I can, and like the like bittersweetness that comes with like success. And I think that like Charlie is she's really good in her performance here, and I think she's like so good at conveying that she's just like kind of like paralyzed with indecision. Like she just doesn't want to. That's sort of where maybe some of the movie loses a little momentum. Like a lot of it is her just sort of like freezing up at the idea of like I have to decide between these two sort of philosophies for my shows, and like how do I like what does that mean to me, and like just choosing to like move on from something, or like see it through. And that's like that can apply to anyone's life, that's can apply to jobs and relationships and any like sort of era that you're going through in your life. So like that felt really resonant for me. I think she says at one point like no one wants to be like the last person to leave a party and stuff like that, and that's just like that it was like really getting to me in that way and stuff. And I think that it's this is definitely not an original idea or anything, but I think that it was a really good depiction of like how corporations will like leech onto anything that is popular or cool, and it like just try to drain all of the life out of it until it's like anything that made it actually interesting and artistic is just like completely gone. Because there's just sort of it's obviously it's based in reality, but it's almost sort of like it's almost like an alternate reality. It's like, what if Charlie made these decisions, or if she was like feeling this way and everything. And so it's like it's so plausible that like something that was as exciting and new to all of us as Brat and everything, was if that was just like completely diluted by a corporation like getting its grubby hands on it. And I think it's I don't want to like get into the ending or anything, but like sort of the very like end of it kind of like hit me in the gut, because it was just very like essentially the message is just like obviously as corporations, as I said, like if they can get you to just like sit at home, like watch a concert movie on your TV and like trick you into thinking you've actually had this experience when like Brat and the Sweat Tour, it's all about like being out, like dancing with drugs, with like, getting like having this real experience with like real other people. And it's like corporations just want to like package that, give it to you in like this completely frictionless way, with no edge. It's got to be like suitable for children because we want as many people as possible watching this. And it's like it was really like I think it was so effective at like the pressures that someone is under when like you get that big and now people want to just get their hands all over you and mold you into something that is just palatable for anyone, regardless, even if that's the complete opposite of what brought you your success in the first place. I just think it was so interesting. And like she could have made a pure comedy. Like this could have been completely ridiculous and out there. She could have made a just traditional, concert documentary. But like she chose to do this, and I think it's so cool. I think it's like a really awesome choice for her. Like you said, I'm excited to see her in other just pure acting performances, but I sort of thought this was brilliant.
Well, now you're kind of making me second guess everything. Like
You definitely need to watch it again.
Oh, that's the plan. I told people that are like, "Oh my god, why'd you rate it this rating?" Like, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch it again. Don't worry, I'm gonna revisit it when it comes to streaming.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, everything you said was very interesting, certainly, and it makes me kind of want to watch the movie again from a different lens and to see that whole perspective of it, because I think the introspective idea is really cool and everything, but I guess that it just didn't fully work for me because I was expecting one thing. But now
Yeah.
that the movie came out and now talking to you about it, now I'm gonna look at it differently, and it might open me up to liking the movie a bit more. So that's what I'm hoping, truly.
Yeah, I hope so. I think that it's, it definitely is like it's maybe not what you would expect going into it, but yeah, I was just it hooked me and I was pretty much in for the whole ride. Shout
Yeah.
out to Haley Benton Gates too, who plays the sort of creative
Oh,
director. I thought she was so good.
I loved her in this.
Yeah.
I think the acting was my favorite. I mean, I said that Alexander Skarsgård was my favorite thing about the movie, but I think the cast was definitely my favorite thing about the movie.
Yeah.
I liked you brought up Rachel Sennett's cameo. I kind of liked Kylie Jenner's cameo too. I liked that whole
It's like
sequence.
a
Where she
pivotal
ran
part of the movie, really.
It's very pivotal. And then Kate Berlant is one of my favorite
Yes.
comics working today. I loved her in this. And then Rosanna Arquette plays a pretty big role in this, and she's definitely the more serious of everybody in this movie, but she's always great to see. And then like other people pop up in the movie. We won't spoil it and everything, but yeah, Haley Bennett Gate, I love her. She's always
good.
good. She's
Yeah.
gonna be in the drama, right? I think I saw
Is
her
she?
in the trailer for that.
Probably. She's pops up in a lot of A24 stuff. She's in Uncut Gems.
Yes,
Martin Supreme. Yeah, she's gonna be in the drama.
She was the receptionist in Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
And Howard was trying to be like, "Go get her right now." And she's
Yep.
like, "Don't talk to me like that, sir."
Yeah, no, she's so good and like definitely has that like Charlie ethos kind of thing and the way that she and Alexander Skarsgård like just completely hate each other is like
Oh,
really
it's so
delicious.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, this was a great one for me. I rated it 4 out of 5. Yeah, I know you went a little lower. What's your current rating?
I went 2.5.
Okay.
It's a very high 2.5 though. It's like teetering on the 3-star. I could see it bumping up. Now if it bumps down, then we'll be scared. But
Yeah.
we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, you can't help if you had a bad experience seeing it. Like that can definitely affect your viewing of it.
Exactly. Now we're gonna talk about a movie that you clearly had
Here
a
we
bad
go.
experience
I'm
with.
ready to rant.
We're gonna talk about now. Good luck, have fun, don't die, or is it good luck, don't die, have fun?
You had it the first time.
Oh, thank God. I've been saying the title wrong so many times in the last few weeks, and I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. Okay, so so this movie is directed by Gore Verbinski. Haven't heard that name in a long time because he hasn't directed a film in a long time, since 2017 with A Cure for Wellness. Gore Verbinski, in case anyone doesn't know who that is, he is best known for directing films like The Ring, Rango, and I would say his most popular projects are the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean. And this has a really big big cast, a really, really cool cast, headlined by Sam Rockwell. But then we also have Haley Richardson, Zazie Beetz, Michael Pena, Juno Temple. So this is one that is best to go into knowing as humanly little as possible. That's how I went into the movie. I mean, I literally knew nothing about the movie, but kind of the basic gist, like moving around and everything. We have a man who is tasked to save the world, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say what exactly is the reason as to why he has to save the world and everything, but it's a film that tackles very prevalent themes that are going on in this current age of technology and life and everything. And I had heard a lot of buzz about this movie out of Fantastic Fest from a few months ago, and a lot of people were really excited for this to come out because it was a very innovative, original film. Plus, it's a return to form for some people for Gore Verbinski, who had been stuck doing a whole bunch of IP stuff and everything. Plus, he hadn't made a film in almost 10 years. And he's a filmmaker that, you know how I brought up before that Sam Raimi has an eclectic filmography? You could definitely
Hmm.
see Sam Raimi isms throughout all of his movies.
Yeah.
You can't really say that about Gore Verbinski. Like, you wouldn't even think, like, yes, the kookiness makes you think of other movies and everything, but if you didn't know that this was from the director of the Pirates of the Caribbean films, you wouldn't even put two and two together. And then
Hmm.
you tell someone that, and they're like, oh, I could kind of see elements of that and everything. So this film has been getting pretty positive reception. I think it's been doing very well critically and everything. Like the moment, this was one that I was super mixed on. When I saw the movie a few weeks ago, I definitely liked it a bit more. But in weeks since, I have thought about it and I'm kind of beginning to like it a little less. Now, that being said, what I will say that I enjoyed about the movie, I enjoyed the originality of it. I thought it was very unique. It definitely didn't hold your hand throughout the movie. It definitely pulled a lot of punches and everything. And it went places that I certainly wasn't expecting. But then again, I went into the movie knowing literally nothing about it. Like, I knew next to nothing about it. I think Sam Rockwell, an actor who I always like. I thought he was genuinely really great in this, and he's very out there and very saney. I love his beard in this. I love the outfit that he wears. I thought he was so good in this, and easily the saving grace of the movie. I thought the rest of the cast did a good enough job as well. There's some interesting choices visually that I thought were very admirable, but I will say that the structure of the movie, without giving it away, there's an interesting choice that is made with how this movie is structured. And I thought it was stronger in the beginning than it was in the end of the film. And when we got to the third act of the movie, when things were starting to be explained to us, that's where the film really lost me. I think the film had a pretty good first two acts. Not incredible, but I was more engaged with the first two acts than I was with the third act. I think the third act was a humongous mess. Tonally, aesthetically, I didn't really like a lot of the decisions that were made in the third act, and I hated the ending. I really did not like the ending of this movie at all. And not in the sense where like, oh, there were things unanswered or anything. It wasn't even like that. I just thought it was a very, and I don't like to use this word because it feels so juvenile, but it was just a stupid ending. It was so stupid, and the decision that was made at the end, I'm like, oh, like it didn't really work at all. And once we got to that ending, I'm like, this is what we built up to. Like, I feel like the journey to get there was all for nothing in the long run. So I'm very torn on this movie. I wanted to walk out of it loving it, and there's certainly elements of it that I loved. I liked the performances. There were some visual choices that were made that I thought were really, really cool. But overall, this was pretty disappointing for me, considering that there was a lot of hype walking into this movie. And I'm glad that I went in knowing nothing, because I don't know how I would have felt about it had I known what was going to happen and had I seen trailers and commercials and everything. But yeah, really wasn't a huge fan of this. And oh my God, it was so long. It was so long. And it felt long too. Like it felt long. And I've seen movies that are longer than this that flowed much better. The editing was definitely one of the weakest elements of this film. But I had fun watching it with my friends in the moment, but thinking about it now, I just really wasn't crazy about it. And that's sad because there's a lot of things about this movie that I do like, but there's also a lot of things about it that I don't like. So mixed bag for me on Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. Veronica, why is this your favorite film of the year?
Yeah, it is not a mixed bag for me. I hated it. Like I really, and I totally acknowledge like I'm an outlier here. I think that most reactions are ranging from like, oh, it's fine to like, oh man, this is really fun and like Gore Verbinski's back and all that stuff. But yeah, it was just like an absolute miss for me. And like it just it's like, yeah, it starts with Sam Rockwell coming to save the world. I think it's fair to say that it's like a very like anti-AI movie. Like literally in the marketing, they're like giving away free tickets if you like renounce AI and stuff. And like that's all cool. I
Yeah,
fucking
that's the
hate
big
AI.
thing with this movie. I had
Yeah.
no idea that AI was going to be such a prevalent topic in this film.
Oh yeah.
I
It's
saw the
totally.
I saw the poster and I'm like, oh, it just looks like some sci-fi
Yeah.
action themabob and everything.
Yeah. And again, like I hate AI. Cool. Was really glad that that was like sort of the premise of the movie. And
Fuck AI. AI is
yeah.
bullshit, and I'm glad that we have a movie, a pretty big movie like this saying
Yeah.
fuck
That's
AI. Like I'm
voicing it
glad
so
that we have that.
clearly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so like yeah, kicks it off with Sam Rockwell. He does like a pretty like whirlwind monologue like in the first scene, and I was like, okay, this is like it's pretty didactic and preachy, but like hey, I like the sentiment, and yeah, Sam Rockwell can sell anything to me. Like it's he's always great and everything, but it's a fine line, and this is subjective, but it's a fine line between like good social satire and like kind of just being like, oh man, kids today and their technology. Like, and I think it just leaned way too hard on that latter version. And it sort of just like stayed really abrasive with like no nuance at all. But the world building got like so confusing. And like, I don't want to get into specifics or anything, but there are some things where I was like, literally, why is it happening like this? And then like sort of, retroactively, I was like, oh, was that a joke? Like, was that supposed to be like, a comment about police or different different aspects of the story and stuff. And I think that it's just like that's the issue. It's like thematically it's like extremely straightforward and simple. Like there is no nuance, no complications or subversions or anything, but then plot wise it is so convoluted and raises so many questions. Like why does that happen? Why is that like there are different aspects of the world. Some feel like they're trying to go for something more serious, some feel completely ridiculous and abstracted. And like you really want the opposite. You want the plot to be like totally clear, like no confusion around like what is actually happening or what is the stakes. And then you want the themes of the movie to have something to chew on, like have even if it's clearly anti AI or something, like you can have some more detail in there. You can have something to like actually grapple with. And it just felt like everything was a hat on a hat. Like this is obviously it's a sci-fi movie. It's like some sort of dystopian future, not really clear like when it takes place or anything, but they're like, you mentioned the structure of it, and I thought it was a mess. And like every sort of like outing that we get with different characters, like it felt like a rejected Black Mirror storyline, like
That's literally
or
what
things
a
that
lot
were
of people
literally
have been
done on
calling
Black
it.
Mirror already.
Yeah.
And like I think maybe overall Haley Richardson and her backstory like worked best for me because it was just more coherent than the other ones. Like and but overall I think that performances are all over the place. I adore Sam Rockwell. I think he is so good at like this sort of like energetic, nervy character. Like, oh my God, like, I think the first thing I saw him in was Galaxy Quest, and he's literally so funny in that. He's like super, cowardly, and he's just so like off the wall and everything. And like, so he's normally so good at this, but I just felt like he just looked kind of like lost sometimes. And I mean, I know the character is like literally like figuring out, logistics and stuff, but I thought he looked like completely out to sea some of the time. I think that some of the other performances are like, felt like a half-hearted like SNL skit. Like I expected it to, end and go to a commercial break. Like it was the stakes were not clear. I was like, are these people afraid to die? Are they not? Do they like do we have any sense of like what does any of this mean for them? And I think it ultimately like it sort of like simplifies the like danger and the insidiousness of AI technology. Like the entire mission here, like Sam Rockwell's character is like he wants to essentially like plug in some safety standards for AI that he says, oh, really smart people in my time like figured this out to, regulate AI. And I don't know, it just felt like I was like, that's it. Like that's gonna save the world. And it just felt like very like tonally and the way that it jumped around, it felt very immature. Like when you're saying like the ending is like you don't want to call it stupid, but like just felt it felt immature. It felt like juvenile. It felt like, the dialogue itself is like it's kind of like going for quippy one-liners at times that I even that the editing of it felt like sometimes that was unrelated to like literally other things going on in the scene, and the way that characters like jump in and out a little bit is very weird. So it's like very immature that way, but then it also feels very sort of old and outdated in its sense of technology and social issues that like, essentially plugging a thing into a thing could like save the future, and like that the manifestation of AI, like you're saying, especially in the end, is like, okay, it's very old school, and it's very like everything about it felt very first pass. It felt like being like someone's like, oh man, aren't teenagers on their phones just like zombies? And it's like, let's make teenagers on their phone like literal zombies. Like it was so like, I don't know. It just came down to like phones bad and everything. It just there was just absolutely nothing there beyond like watch the first scene of Sam Rockwell giving his monologue, and like that's the whole rest of the movie. Like there's nothing else there, and it was just so like a frustrating watch. I was literally it just felt so incoherent, and like it didn't know what to do at any given moment, so it just did anything.
Yeah, it's just there's just so many decisions that were made in this movie that just left me questioning.
Yeah, just like baffling.
It's like, what was the point of all this? Like, what intentions were there in this film, and did it really live up to the expectations and everything, and the potential that this film had? Because I do think that this movie had the potential to be amazing, especially
Yeah, you
now with the
give that
current
basic
age.
premise, yeah,
Yeah,
and it sounds
with
cool.
now with the current age of like how AI is overtaken so many different things and everything. Like, it would have been great if they did something a bit more like, I don't know. Like, I really wanted more from this. I guess because like I really don't think it helped that this movie had a lot of hype going into it and everything. Because like, if this was a movie that was just coming out now, like it didn't have a film festival run prior to this and everything, maybe it would have been easier to look at it differently. But because there was all this acclaim and positivity surrounding it and everything, I'm just like, what was the film that you guys saw that we didn't see? Like, are we
Yeah,
missing
I
something?
mean,
Are we blind? Are we stupid? Did we not understand it? Like, are we misinterpreting what this movie is trying to do and what they're trying to say? I think it's clear what it's trying to say, but how it's saying it just doesn't work.
yeah, and I mean, I don't think anyone is arguing that it's like a masterpiece or anything, but I feel like so many people are like, oh, it's fun, and and I get like I said, I get
There's
being on
fun
board.
moments in the movie, certainly, but that doesn't automatically make it
It
like a
was
good
just more
movie.
frustrating to me than fun, and like
Yeah.
I can get being on board with the like anti-AI stuff, and like I said, I'm completely absolutely there, but like that doesn't automatically make a good movie. Like
Right.
just railing against that is there's nothing more to it, and it's just a confusing watch and a frustrating one. I think like pretty much everyone in it is kind of wasted. I think it looks terrible. Yeah, it was just a big waste for me.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest film. It was pretty underwhelming. I certainly liked it a little bit more than you, but not to the point where I'm like, "Oh, you're wrong for feeling the way that you do." It's not like the drastic shift it is from like you being pretty high on the moment and me being mixed on
Hmm.
it and everything. I feel like, the space between what I rated and what you rated is not that huge and everything. So,
Yeah, you're mixed negative. I'm full on negative.
yeah, I gave it a 2.5. It was a 3 when I walked out of the movie, but now it's at a 2.5, and it's not even like a 2.5 teetering on a 3. It's a 2.5 teetering on a 2. And I feel like now after this discussion, I'm like, I might bump it down to 2. To be honest, I don't even know. But right now, it's a 2.5 for me. What did you rate it?
Yeah, I think I coming out of the theater, I just gave it a 1 star. I like bumped it up to 1.5 because I'm like it's not, again, I'm not like mad that this movie exists or anything. Like I don't, again, cool to have an anti AI movie out there, and like and yeah, it has maybe one or two moments, but it's or like some little nuggets of a detail that I'm like, oh, that's an interesting like sort of sci-fi concept, and then they like pile 20 others on top of it that don't work. But
Right.
yeah, I think that, and I was saying to you before, like I kind of feel like when I like a movie, it's like, oh, this one like has to be 4 stars. It could be 4.5 if not for that. And all like I feel like I have a lot of like specific criteria. When I don't like a movie, I'm like, I don't know. Is it 1 star? Is it 2.5? Like who cares? But
Yeah.
I'm at 1.5 stars. I don't plan on rewatching it. I think it's gonna stay there. So yeah, not a high recommend from me, but if you wanna renounce AI on their marketing and go get a free ticket, absolutely, I would recommend that.
100%. Now, we talked about how we're not necessarily happy with this movie being the thing and everything, but we're both very happy about our final movie being a thing. And our final movie that we're going to be talking about today is Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. So this is the new film from Matt Johnson, who is best known for directing most recently Blackberry. That was a huge hit critically and amongst the cinephiles. A lot of people love that movie, myself included. So this is a continuation of this Canadian web series titled Nirvana, the band, the show. We have Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll as the leads of this story, basically playing fictionalized versions of themselves and everything. They are two people who have a lot of dreams to become famous and to be great and everything. And for multiple years, they have been trying to get a show off the ground at the Rivoli, which is this huge venue in Toronto. And after all their plans basically failed, they're like, why don't we do something and bring time travel into this and everything? And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to spoil everything else because this is another film that's good to go into knowing as little as possible. Now, I'm not going to give my full thoughts here. I'm going to let Veronica talk about it first, but I'll just say that I've seen this movie twice. I went to go see it first at TIFF back in September, Midnight Madness screening. I just want to say that was one of the coolest
Yeah,
theater
that must have been
experiences
awesome.
of my life. And then I watched it obviously recently when it got released in theaters and everything. So I'm very excited to talk to Veronica about this because we haven't really talked about it. She saw it a little later than a lot of other people, so I'm very excited. So Veronica, for you, like with a lot of people, this was probably your first exposure to these characters and everything, this material and everything. And since you saw it a little after it came out, I'm sure like the hype was a bit overwhelming and everything. You're like, oh my God, what if I come out of this being the one person who's like, guys, this sucks?
Yeah,
But
I was nervous that I wouldn't like
I
it.
was nervous too. I was scared. I'm like, well, if you don't like it, I may have to find another co-host. But it
You
seems
have
like
to
that's
resign.
not the. It seems like that's not the case. So, what were your feelings towards Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie?
Right, got it all there. Yeah, I had no prior knowledge of the web series. Didn't have any history with that. I did see Blackberry and absolutely loved that from a few years ago. So I was excited about Matt Johnson, but didn't really know anything about the concept. And once it started getting hyped, I kind of wanted to stay away from hearing any other details. Yeah, you're definitely right that I saw it this week, so it was like the hype was already there. You had loved it. Everyone I know who had seen it loved it. And it was a little. I saw it in a pretty crowded theater, and I definitely was like, I was definitely excited for it. I was ready to love it and everything. But I was a little like kind of when the movie started, like people are already like giggling and like laughing, and I don't know if they had seen it already or if they're just in anticipation. And I was a little like, okay, everyone calm down. Like let's see. Like okay, and so definitely like first few minutes or so maybe I was like, all right, like let's rein it in here. But it quickly gets going and it's just so good. I don't have a ton to talk about because it basically just comes down to I loved it. I don't know how they did half the things that they do in this movie, which is like a very refreshing thing. Like I feel like we're so used to seeing just about anything on screen and like with whatever CGI and different effects and different camera, like that sort of thing is so like standard now, but like there's such creative uses here of I don't even want to get into any details, but it's a very creatively made movie. It incorporates sort of like documentary style filmmaking or mockumentary with like some really, really high concept stuff. And it all meshes really well. And I can't believe that it goes together so well, but yeah, I just feel like sure. And I want to see it again. I feel like it would bump up even higher for me. 'Cause I feel like I was kind of just getting my bearings and like I said, I was just thinking about like, how did they do that for a lot of it? I wasn't really just like sitting back and enjoying it. But yeah, I don't have a ton to say because short of like reciting jokes that I loved or like, getting into some of the crazy details of it, which we don't want to spoil anything here. I just would say that I loved it and I would like to give you the floor to
Oh,
preach your love for it.
yeah, this film is so incredible. It's honestly up there for some of my favorite comedy that I've seen in years. I think that when the decade ends, this will go down as one of my favorite comedies that we got this decade. This is one of the funniest films I've seen in years, and like you, when I saw the film at TIFF, when you watch a film at TIFF with the Midnight Madness crowd, it could definitely enhance your theater experience, but could also find ways of ruining your experience because the Midnight Madness crowd at TIFF is unlike any other crowd that you'll ever watch movies with. They are very much into the very genre films and the very out there films and the very wacky films. Like a few examples of films that I've seen in the Midnight Madness catalog: Dick's the Musical,
Nice.
Friendship, The Substance, this. And this was the opening night Midnight Madness film. So this was the first night at the festival. There was a lot of energy because, TIFF is a very welcoming festival. It's the 50th anniversary of this festival. And this is also a big deal in Canada. And I think that that was one of the most
Yeah.
exciting things about watching this movie in Canada.
It's a
Mere
very
minutes
Toronto
away,
heavy film, yeah.
minutes away too, like just steps away from the Rivoli.
Hmm.
The second year that I went to TIFF, my Airbnb was right around the corner from the Rivoli, literally around the corner. And the night after I saw this movie, I met up with friends and they're like, "Oh, we're at the Rivoli playing pool or whatever." And I didn't even put two and two together. Like I walked past it and I'm like, "Wait a minute, why does this look familiar?" And then my friend's like, "Oh, this was in Nirvana," and I'm like, "Wait, this is the place." Oh my god! Like it was iconic, truly iconic stuff. No, genuinely, like this is an incredible achievement of filmmaking, and like you said, how did they pull off like half of the stuff they did here? I don't understand how they were able to successfully do it. And I love the absurdity of this movie. I love the originality of this movie. But my favorite thing about the movie, honestly, aside from the great comedy that's here, both physically and written wise, there's a lot of heart to this movie. Like this
Hmm.
movie at its core is about an unbreakable friendship and the bonds that we create and how they shape who we are as people. And the relationship between Matt and Jay is so special. Like you could just tell, first of all, it helps that these guys have been working together for almost 20 years. I mean, this web series that they created started in 2008. That's almost 20 years ago. And it's so incredible. Like, I don't know if you've been like watching clips or anything of the show on social media. There's been clips floating around for the last week and a half since the movie came out. And just seeing clips from early on, like they were literally babies when they did this. They were around our age and now they're adults and they both have had pretty established
I hate
careers.
to break it to you, but we're adults now.
Don't
I know it
remind
doesn't
me,
feel like
please.
it.
Don't remind me, please. But it's just a very beautiful film that also, it's this ridiculous, over the top, wacky comedy, but it's also a really heartfelt story too at its core. And I'm not gonna lie, when I watched the movie a second time, I was crying. And not just crying from laughter. I was legit like really moved, especially in the third act of this movie, because this friendship is so special, and you could tell that they both really want to get to this point of just performing and everything. But all the obstacles that they have to go through throughout this movie are just insane. And there's a lot of things that happen in this movie where you literally scream out loud, "What the fuck?" Both in a comedic way, but then also like a shocking way. And obviously not spoiling anything, but there's a sequence on a tour bus that
Amazing.
I, when I saw the movie the first time, I was just like my jaw was on the floor. And I honestly forgot about that sequence when I went to go see the movie again. So when that happened, I'm like, "Oh yeah, this does happen," and my jaw was still on the floor, as if like I didn't know that that was going to happen and everything. But it's a brilliant film. Matt Johnson just showcases once again how he's an exciting voice that we have, and he hasn't made a lot of films, but this has made me continue to be a true fan of him. And I'm excited to see what he does with the Anthony Bourdain biopic that comes out later this
Yeah.
year with Dominic Sessa, which is clearly going to be very different from this, 'cause since that's going to be like an actual like film, like narratively structured, and like he's only directing it. And I wonder if that's going to be more in the comedic direction or in the serious direction. I'm very curious to see what he does with that film. But and also the time travel element of it, I thought was really, really smartly handled. And, we've had time travel depicted in many movies. Obviously, the biggest one being Back to the Future, which, of course, is mentioned a lot throughout this movie. I think the time travel element here could have been handled poorly if it were under the hands of someone else. But it's used in a very effective way that it's like, oh, this is really clever. Even though it's
Yeah.
unrealistic, it's like, you know what? This isn't too far fetched when you think about it, but it's a brilliant movie from top to bottom. I loved it so much. I laughed really, really hard. I was moved by it. I want to see it again so badly. I want to keep giving this movie all the money in the world. I want movies like this to keep being made. This movie is a reminder of why we love going to the movies and why it's important that we keep cinema alive. Not just cinemas in general, but the art form alive. With where it's going right now, it's scary for all careers and everybody involved. But this movie is just the perfect movie that we also need right now with how dark the world is. I think that this movie was just a beautiful palate cleanser and a beautiful refresher, reminding us that there is some good in this world. And yeah, I didn't think that I would be so moved by a movie like this. I thought this was just going to be a very silly, ridiculous comedy, but it was so much more than that, and it was absolutely brilliant, and I loved it so much. And today when we're recording this, they're doing like a pop-up shop thing at the Rivoli in Toronto where
Oh,
there's
cool.
merch and they could take pictures, and I'm like, well, why isn't that happening here? I want to meet Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll. I actually met Matt Johnson at Toronto. He was just standing
Mhm.
around. We chatted for like 10 minutes, and he was the sweetest man in the world. I love him so much. Oh my God. God, this film is great. And if I say any more, I'm going to babble on and on forever. And without spoiling, I guess, like if there's a way to kind of move around it, what was your favorite moment from this movie? Without
Ooh.
spoiling it, like I'm sure it's hard to not give anything away, but
Yeah. I would say the first like stunt that happens is like very I was like I didn't know how it was gonna happen, and so it's just it's very cool and funny the way that they did it. And I love the, like I said, I didn't really have any knowledge going into it. I really liked how a lot of it felt like I was like, oh, this just does feel very mockumentary-ish. Like it felt like they were talking to real people, and it sort of like cycles in and out of that, between that and like more scripted, like obviously very crafted sequences and stuff like that. So yeah, that was really. Can you talk about a moment, or is it too spoilery?
I mean, every moment in this movie
Every
is
moment.
perfect. But I mean, well, yeah, the opening stunt is great. I love that when I saw this at TIFF, there was no trailer out for the movie. So like, I mean, I literally knew nothing. Like
Hmm.
I knew little to nothing. I didn't know that there was going to be any. Well, also, I didn't know what kind of movie this was going to be. I thought this was just going to be like a regular film like he did with Blackberry, but it was obviously so
Yeah.
different. And that first stunt is great. The third act, everything in the third act, I really loved. I guess a funny moment for me is when they go to the preview screen of a certain movie and then the
Yes.
realization and everything. And now whenever I watch that movie going forward,
Yeah.
I'm just going to be thinking about this and everything. And it's so good.
It's so funny. Yeah, for sure. And you're totally right to point out like it's got some real heart here. Like there's, the sort of tension of like a professional relationship or a friendship where like one person feels like they're kind of being held back by the other person. Like it's mined for a lot of comedy here, but it's also really that's really bittersweet. And that's really like something that's tough to deal with. And I think that they get a lot of, actual like emotion out of that. And you're also right that it's such a cool movie to exist right now, because like I can't think of like a comp for this. I mean, it's if anything, if you wanted to like prep for this movie, I would say you don't have to know anything about the web series really. I mean, I'm sure you could go back and look at it if you're interested, but I would say besides like watch Back to the Future if you haven't already. That's kind of like the thing that it most draws on, but like I can't think of anything else that is like structured this way, that has this sort of tone. that goes for this sort of, these sort of concepts and does it like it's just it's really unique, which is like very like nobody wants to make a movie that is unique anymore. Like they want something that is tried and true, something that's IP, something that's gonna like guaranteed to make money back. And like I love that this is like a risk, and yeah, you're totally right about just like supporting it as best we can.
Yeah. What? When? No, how, when, what? If you just went, if you what, when, how, what?
Yeah, the fact that
His
like they're
energy
just like
gave
little,
off his energy
yeah,
gave off Tim Robinson and friendship
yes,
vibe.
for sure. I was
I
thinking
know
that,
that not everybody loves Tim Robinson and everything, but I for
but they
some
should.
reason it makes me laugh. So it made me think of that a lot. And then him just literally looking into the camera and saying, "This is gonna be a copyright nightmare. And if you're watching this in theaters, thank your lucky stars because this will be the only screen that will ever."
Everyone in the theater died at that.
It's so brilliant. It's so
Yeah.
good. And
And
this
that's the thing, like Matt John, like from this and from Blackberry and stuff, like his sense of humor is just so good that like he could just make a regular old comedy, and I'm sure it would be fantastic. But
oh,
like they
100%.
went so above and beyond and made this like so wacky that like I just really respect it.
Yeah, and like I I don't know if you've been like listening to any of like the music that was in the film or anything. That song that's in the intro over the credits, I've been listening to that song nonstop. I love that song. It's so good. This movie is just so good. And you know, I think Neon having it is also pretty cool too. Like this is
Yeah.
not the kind of film that you would think that Neon would be behind, but it comes to show that they love diversifying themselves and picking up very serious films like all the films that end up winning the Palme d'Or and everything, but then they pick up a film like this and it's like, oh, so you're more than just like picking up these big prestige award caliber dramas. You could pick up something very silly and fun like this. And again, it's also just very refreshing to see a movie like this in the current landscape of cinema too. And honestly, before this, I can't really tell you the last time a straight up comedy like really like wowed me. Like it's been a long time since I've seen like a straight up comedy do what this film did for me.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know, you're saying it's this, Neon picks up prestigious movies and stuff like that. Nirvana for Best Picture 2027, who knows? We'll
Please,
see.
let's get this into the screenplay category. Let's make it
Screenplay for
happen.
sure. Yeah, it could definitely.
Let's
It's
get
so,
Matt
it's so
Johnson and
unique.
Jane McCarroll Oscar nominations. Let's make it happen. That would be the coolest thing in the entire world if that happened. That would legit be awesome. So what are you going to rate Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie?
I rated it a 4 for now. I definitely feel like it would bump up to a 4.5 on a second viewing. What about for you?
This is a 5-star for me. This is the first five
Nice.
star of 2026 for me. It was a 4.5 when I saw it at TIFF. There were just a few little things that kept me from giving it a 5-star, but this rewatch amplified that. Yes, it's a great and fun experience and everything, but I also legit think that from a filmmaking standpoint, from a writing, directing, acting, it's fantastic. And I adore it so much. And I also just want to bring up too before we wrap up the episode. I love the description that they have on Letterboxd. It just says when they're planning to book a show, the Rivoli goes horribly wrong. Matt and Jay accidentally travel back to the year 2008. Blah blah blah.
It says blah blah blah.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
didn't notice
brilliant.
that. That's funny.
That's so good. Oh man. But yeah, those are
Yeah.
4 very different films that are currently out for everybody to see. I really enjoyed doing the speed run and everything. I think it
Yeah,
was a
this is
fun little
cool.
experiment and everything, and we'll definitely be doing more of these going forward.
Yeah, I think shout out to just some other 2026 movies that are out right now. I liked Crime 101 and I liked Midwinter Break. I saw both of those recently. I didn't like How to Make a Killing, but and then I guess it's technically a 2025 movie, but like you mentioned, Pillion is having a bit of a weird rollout now. I think it's limited for now, but it might be coming out wider. And yeah, I haven't gotten to a lot of the like streaming movies. I haven't seen the big ones like Friends We Meet on Vacation and The Rip and stuff, but I did watch The Muppets last night, so that was fantastic.
Hell
But yeah,
yeah.
it's shaping up. I think for like the beginning of the year, like Dumpuary in January, as it's usually called, and like February, it's like I think it's a pretty decent year for early on movies, and usually this is when we're getting like the worst of the worst. So I think there's been some gems in here.
Yeah, I mean the fact that in January we had both The Bone Temple and Send Help, I think is really really great. Like even if you didn't walk out of those movies going OMG they're fantastic and everything, the fact that they were good,
Yeah,
that's a big thing because it's very rare to come across good movies in January, and we had two pretty good ones that came out in January. And I mean Nirvana coming out, that's like a huge deal. And yeah, we have a lot of exciting releases coming out in the next few weeks. We will
yeah, it's
not
getting
be
busy.
we will not be talking about the film that comes out next weekend because we are not going to support that film. So, but next week we'll be back with another draft. We're very excited. We're not going to spoil what the topic is, but let's just say that it's going to get very hectic. If you've been listening to the drafts that we've done so far, I think this will probably be the most hectic one yet. I think that this is going to be a very interesting one to say the
We'll
least.
see.
We
Yeah,
will
excited.
see.
Yeah, so be sure to let us know what you guys thought of these four movies in 2026 so far, anything that's on your mind. And if you want to see more of these speedrun review episodes, let us know. I think that, when the calendar allows, if there's like a kind of a couple things come out at once, this is fun to just sort of do a little roundup.
Absolutely. And with that, that is a wrap on today's episode of Some Like It Real. Thank you all for joining us. If you're interested in following along our journey, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I'm Brian Suffield.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Vero Albarella and on Letterboxd at Alba_real_A.
And you can follow the show on all socials at Some Like It Real, as well as on YouTube at Some Like It Real. Be sure to subscribe and share it around and tune in every Monday for a new episode of Some Like It Real on podcast platforms.
We'll see you next time.